Hey everybody, ronarray here, and as 3.27 progresses, a lot of people are reaching red maps and starting to ask the question, what to farm, especially at the start. So in this video, I wanted to showcase a few cheap and basic farms that you can do almost with no investment, like without Scarabs at all, or with just a few of those. Most of those I tested myself at the start of the league to get some of my starting currency. Let's go, and I will be able to tell you more about the setup and what you will need to do. And first strategy is probably the easiest one we have in the list right now. It's tier 6 essences. So for that setup, you're just going to use a dedicated atlas for essences, and you're going to run them at the start of the yellow maps in tier 6. It's very easy, and right now running essences making a lot of sense, especially if your build is not strong enough. So talking about the atlas, it's very simple as well. First off, you're taking prolific essence and going to the left, taking bonuses for crystal lattice, bonuses around here. Make sure you're not taking crystal resonance, because at the moment it's not really worth it, and using remnants of corruption on imprisoned monsters in your maps will replace all essences with one of the essence on the imprisoned monster. That could be a little uncomfortable in some particular situations, so currently I don't recommend taking crystal resonance. You're also going up and taking amplified energies, so it's right here, together with all quantity nodes, and going up, you can also take bonuses for your Scarabs. So, on top of it, I also recommend to take shrines to make sure you're running maps as fast as possible. There are going to be like at least a few shrines in your maps, and you're going to be much faster because of that. And you can also run a poor version of storm boxes, just taking twice tempted, bonuses for boxes here and bonuses for boxes here. You're probably going to have only like one box a map, but while you're searching for essences, I think it could be a nice bonus to drop at least some things here and there. And for the Scarabs, I recommend to take trapping carapaces, because you're mostly going to focus on dropping ambush Scarabs. And on top of it, taking explorative carapaces. If you like, there's also an option to take crystalline carapaces. Since you're farming essences, you also have a chances to get like essence Scarabs in the map itself, which would be very nice. So that's the atlas setup. You will be able to check it in the link in the description if you want to replicate it. And now let's talk about the Scarab setup. So for the Scarab setup, the situation is very funny. First off, you're going to run a basic variation of tier 6 map. So first off, I heavily recommend to use Essence Scarab of Stability and click all essences with Valve Orbs. It's going to give you more chances like transforming essences or upgrading it, so it's working pretty great. Essence Scarab of Stability right now costs not really much, and it should be like almost 2 Scarabs per 1 chaos, so it's definitely worth it even if you're out of the budget. So if you're completely out of the budget, you will need to run Essence Scarab of Stability, and at the map device you can also just choose the Essence modifier. So right here is Essence modifier, and that's pretty much all what you need to run. However, if you have a bigger budget, I recommend to add at least Essence Scarab of Ascent at the moment. It's going to give you essences like 1 tier higher, and it costs about 6 chaoses at the moment, and I think it's absolutely worth it too. So you can also add as many normal Essence Scarabs as you like, so you can get 1 Scarab for like 2 chaoses. If you have more budget, you can keep adding them on top. However, I don't really recommend to add too much, because you can still run very cheap version with just Essence Scarab of Stability, Ascent, and like 3 Essence Scarabs together with map device craft. And there's another Scarab that requires mentioning, is pretty much Essence Scarab of Calcification. Calcification could be very nice, but right now it costs 50 chaoses and it's usually very expensive, so go for it only if you feel like you have the budget and you're already making enough with essences. In that situation, your setup should be just a map, stability, 1 essence, and the last one could be Calcification or +1 Essence Scarab. If you don't have Calcification and you have only 4 sockets, because you never completed tier 17, so like Promenade and 3 Scarabs like that, plus Skyrock. If you have the last socket, you can add Calcification or Essence Scarab for additional essences. And the most cheapest version should be just the map and Essence Scarab of Stability. That way you're paying almost nothing, but you can still make money while selling essences. And since you're running it in tier 6, it will be very easy and there shouldn't be any issues in completing it. Next step is early expedition farming, and for early expedition you can do it without a lot of issues, even almost without all Scarabs. So for the expedition, first off you will need to go here to take Hunt of Prancers to get more chances to contain like expedition encounter, and together with additional quantity of artifacts, which is very nice. And in combination with that, you can still take shrines to make sure your maps are faster, so shrines here and shrines here are definitely recommended. And if you're farming tier 16, especially early on, I recommend to take Syrian Exarch because it's providing a lot of basic currency, which is very easy to sell, at least in the first 5 days. So Exarch here is very good. However, if you want, since we're very close, you can go for Outbreach just like for Ether of Worlds in the same fashion, so just take the same points right here and same points right here. But I would prefer an Exarch for that set. And for Expedition, you're also going up, taking Buried Knowledge is pretty important, going to the right, taking Scratch in the Ground and Noble Quest for Danik and Tujan. Right here, there is an option to run Extreme Archaeology. However, I believe that even if Extreme Archaeology can make your maps significantly faster, it could also make them harder. And if your build is not strong enough, you could be in a very hard position because it's not that easy to clear it, and I currently don't recommend to take it. However, if you feel strong, you can just allocate 1 point, probably losing 2 of those, and you're going to be just fine with this. But I believe you can click a little more, especially if you're not 1000% sure if your build can clear everything. And the last part, you're taking all the Scarabs bonuses here and here for like less common varieties. It's also recommended to get like additional chances for Ambush and Essence Scarabs, because those have a pretty nice prices at the moment and you will be able to sell them for more. So now let's talk about the maps and the Scarabs. First off, as a map, I heavily recommend to run the Dunes or any other open map that you like. More open space, it would make the whole run much easier for you. And as a Scarab, first off, Expedition Scarab of Verisium Powder right now is absolutely recommended because it's going to give you more explosives and more radius. You will be able to clear much bigger part of the expedition with that, and it costs only like 1-2 Chaoses. Right now it's even less than 1, I believe, so it's absolutely mandatory to run that. Since you're going to get Expedition from your setup and you're from Atlas, like Expedition Scarab is not necessary. So as a map device, you will just need to take quantity of items found in that area and nothing else is important. So the next step is Expedition Scarab of Rune Finding. If you feel like your build is handling Expedition just fine, I recommend to use 1 or even 2 of those. They usually should be about like 5 Chaoses approximately, so look if it's working for your budget. The cheapest version will be just a map and Scarab of the Verisium Powder. If you can and want to do like a little harder and a little better variation, you can add double Rune Finding and also even look at Scarab of Archaeology. However, getting additional suffixes and prefixes for your remnants is going to make Expedition very hard, so be careful with that and make sure that your build can handle it. And as the last option, just to get a little more pack size, you can also add Scarab of Monstrous Lineage, but at the moment those are a little too expensive, so I recommend it only for very hard version if you're running with Expedition Scarab of Archaeology. And the last but not the least strategy is Harbingers. So for Harbingers, it's very easy to get it. You just need to take all Harbingers nodes starting with Ominous Arrival, just Unspeakable Offensive, and go for first wave. So all of the Harbinger passives in the tree. And for the rest, you just need to take map modifiers together with quantity and rarity. You can also add stuff like invasive adversaries if you like, add like domination shrines in there, and take all bonuses for Scarabs too. So for Scarabs, I recommend to take trapping carapaces for ambush, heroin for harbinger, and also invest for crystalline carapaces for essences, because those currently have a pretty nice price. As the influence, I'm again recommending the Exarch. However, if you don't really like it, you can easily go for Ether. It's going to be the same amount of passives. So with such setup, it should be very easy to get harbingers on your maps and get bonuses from them. Shrines are here to just help you out with clearing all over again. And now let's talk about the rest of the stuff. So first off, as a map, you can run anything that you like perfectly with higher like quantity and pack size. You can run 8 mod maps as well if you prefer, but generally you can just get any maps with quality that you can get. And for the Scarabs, right now for the Scarabs, I believe that Harbinger Scarab of Warhorde is absolutely necessary because duplication is definitely worth it for 5 chaoses. You can also use Regency for 50% chance to be replaced by powerful Harbinger boss, which is very nice. And the last Scarab is Varys. So if you have 5, I recommend to run the map together with Regency, Warhordes, Obelisks, and 1 for normal Harbingers, because it's going to give you 3 Harbingers. As just the map craft, you should go for Harbinger as well. So here you're just going for Harbinger, and Underground Sea map with that setup would work pretty nice. However, if you're on a budget, you still need to go for Kyrak right here, but you can run different set of Scarabs. For 4 sockets, I recommend to just run map, Harbinger Scarab, Warhordes, and Regency, so dropping out the Obelisks, because those are not really providing that much. And if you're crazy on a budget and you almost don't have currency and you want to run it as cheap as possible, I believe you can just run the map itself with Scarab of Warhordes for duplication, getting Harbingers from your bonuses, and from the Kyrak, just like from the map craft. So that would be the cheapest option that's still going to lead your currency, and the most expensive one would be 5 Scarabs like that. However, Harbingers right now are pretty profitable, and there should be no big issues for you to get currency out of those. So that's been my set of good farming strategies that should provide you a decent currency in the first 5 days. They're pretty simple and easily achievable, so you can farm them at any build at the moment. Let me know in the comments what are you farming and how good the league start is going for you. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. ronarray out.